Think about that. 2,000 married couples will divorce today.
Sadly, we are so used to hearing depressing statistics about marriage that we've become anesthetized, in some ways numb to the devastation of divorce.
Or maybe you feel helpless or hopeless. You might be thinking, I'm passionate about marriage, but what can I do that would make a difference? Well, we want to cast a new vision on how together we can stem the tide of divorce in our churches and in our country and make a real sustainable difference in the lives of married couples.
We are Greg and Erin Smalley. We are celebrating 30 years of marriage this year. We're marriage counselors. We've written over 20 marriage books and teach marriage events all over the world. We also lead the marriage efforts that focus on the family. In essence, we are passionate about marriage.
That's because God created marriage, and He wants us to take great care of this gift. Hebrews 13:4 says marriage should be honored by all. However, doesn't it seem like marriage is dishonored in our culture? The word dishonor means to devalue something, to degrade or cheapen or lessen its value. The United States has one of the highest divorce rates in the world. For the first time in the history of our country, we have more single women than married women. Cohabitation rates are off the charts, and the very definition of marriage has been rewritten.
With such a disregard for marriage, it's no wonder that we have a high divorce rate. It's no wonder that so many women are remaining single, and why many couples are choosing to live together over being married. But we don't have to continue this negative view of marriage, and more importantly, we can do something. Let's restore marriage to its rightful place of honor by raising an army of marriage champions.
When I was getting my doctorate from Biola University in Southern California, it was a really tough season. We were so busy. We had so much going on. I was in full-time school. You were a full-time labor and delivery nurse. Our oldest daughter, Taylor, was just a baby. We were exhausted, but we were also really disconnected. I'll never forget the day that there was a knock on our little apartment door, and I answered it, and I see this older couple standing there. They kind of looked familiar, wasn't sure who they were. I said, "Can I help you?" And the guy says, and he was like this retired fireman, so this crusty fireman holds out a $20 bill and says, "We're here for your daughter, Taylor." And I remember thinking, did Erin just sell our daughter for $20? Feels like you could have gotten more. I'm telling you, they came once a week and gave us $20 to go out on a date. Remember, we would go to the little hamburger joint nearby our house.
We'd share a burger and play a game of Miss Pac-Man. Some sweet times.
That was, and we would just connect. And I tell you, we left from a very difficult season, I think, more connected. Carol and Ron, just the way they invested in our marriage made such a big difference. And now, at Focus on the Family, we want to equip an army of marriage champions, people like Carol and Ron, people willing to invest in other couples and to help them build satisfying lifelong marriages.
When I think about a marriage champion, I think about the Dead Sea.
That is different.
It's odd. The Jordan River actually is the only major water source flowing into the Dead Sea. However, there's nothing flowing out. All this life-giving water from the Jordan River goes into the Dead Sea, but absolutely nothing flows out. Ultimately, God doesn't want us to have Dead Sea marriages where nothing flows out. He wants us to use our marriage to bless others and live out 2 Corinthians 1:4. He comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort others. When they are troubled, we will be able to give them the same comfort God has given us.
You know, as this verse says, we are called to comfort others as we have been comforted. I tell you, a great way to comfort another couple is to help them grow closer to God and closer to each other. And that's exactly what a marriage champion does. Invests in another couple to help them grow closer to God and closer to each other.
Investing in other couples isn't that complicated. It could simply be like Carol and Ron did, babysitting for a couple with young kids who are exhausted and have no money. It could be double dating or simply sharing your marriage story with another couple. Sometimes it's just walking with a friend who's struggling in their marriage. It could also be teaching a marriage lesson in Sunday school or leading a church small group.
However, I would say that our favorite way to invest is to pray for another couple. You know, we're encouraging couples to think 1 + 1 + 1. Pick one couple and pray once per day for 1 month. So grab the card on your table and scan the QR code to take part in this prayer challenge.
As a marriage counselor, so many of the couples that I work with, both young and old, would so greatly benefit from having someone just like you as a mentor. They don't have good role models. They desperately need someone like you to walk with them and help them fight for their marriage. In essence, to give them hope.
I tell you, sometimes a couple can survive off of someone else's hope for a season. And that's really what happened early on in our marriage. We were just not doing well at all, and we weren't telling anybody this, and we were kind of suffering alone in silence. And this one day, this woman, good friend of ours, called looking for you. I pick up the phone. Hey, Greg. Hey, Carrie. Is Erin there? And I said, no, she's left. And I'll never forget Carrie's response. She went, oh, Greg, I am so sorry. Oh, I was so afraid that this was going to happen. And I just remember thinking, what are you talking about? She left for the store.
Yeah, the hilarious thing is, I was at the grocery store. That was it.
And so after this kind of long, awkward, pause, she goes, Greg, I am mortified. But if I'm being honest, that my husband and I, Gary, we've noticed that you guys aren't doing well. We know you're not. Why don't tonight come over to our house, let's have dinner together, and then let's just talk about how things are going in your relationship. And I tell you, we've now almost hit 30 years of marriage, and Gary and Carrie are such an important part of our marriage story. We're here because of the way that they invested in our marriage.
You think about how social media influencers rally people around a social cause or a product. Why can't we do that? We know that if just 3.5% of the Christian married community were to invest in other couples, we could change the culture. 50,000 marriage champions investing in other couples would change everything.
Your marriage matters because it matters to God, and He wants you to honor it. You honor marriage by keeping your own marriage strong and growing, and then investing in other married couples to help them have a thriving marriage. Together, we can restore marriage to its rightful place of honor.